Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Life has a way of teaching us lessons we didn't sign up for. And one of those lessons is learning to recognize and deal with people who don't see the world the way most of us do. Today, we're talking about narcissism. Now, I ain't here to label anybody or point fingers, but if you've ever been in the presence of someone who makes every conversation, every situation, every moment about them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's break it down. Here are 8 common traits of narcissism. Not to criticize, but to help you recognize and protect your peace. It's always about them. Let me ask y'all something. Have you ever had a conversation where no matter what you said, the other person somehow made it all about them? Like you could be talking about the weather and they turn it into their life story about how they survived a thunderstorm in 1996. You over here thinking, really? I was just talking about the rain. But okay. These folks have a way of making everything revolve around them. You could be sharing your struggles, your triumphs, or just a simple moment from your day, and instead of listening, they'll swoop in and steal the spotlight like they're auditioning for the lead role in your life. And here's the kicker. They're not even doing it because they're trying to be rude. Oh, no. It's just that their world is so small, they can't see past themselves. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why do they do that? Well, let me break it down for you. These are the kind of people who thrive on validation. They need attention like plants need sunlight. And if the light's not shining on them, they'll find a way to redirect it. It's not because they're bad people. It's because they've got this deep fear of being invisible. But here's the problem. When you're constantly dealing with someone who makes everything about themselves, it can feel like you're shrinking, like your voice doesn't matter. You could be pouring your heart out about something that's been weighing on you, and instead of holding space for your feelings, they'll say, oh, you stressed? Let me tell you what happened to me last week, and just like that, your moment is gone. And just like that, your moment is gone. Now, let me tell you, you don't have to stand there and take that. There's nothing wrong with gently redirecting the conversation back to where it started. You can say, I appreciate your story, but I really need you to hear me out right now. See, people like that often don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes it's not about calling them out. It's about showing them what a real conversation looks like. But here's the truth. Some folks ain't gonna change. They've spent so long living in their little bubble, they don't even know what it feels like to step outside of it. And you can't pop that bubble for them. What you can do is decide how much space you're willing to give them in your life. Because at the end of the day, your life and your story, and you deserve to have people around you who see you as the main character, not just a supporting role in their drama. They crave praise like oxygen. Let me tell you something, family. There's a certain kind of person out there who thrives on praise like a fish needs water. Compliments, oh, they don't just like them. They live for them. It's like their soul runs on flattery. And if they don't get their daily dose, they start acting like their world is falling apart. You know the type I'm talking about. These are the people who will fish for a compliment even when they're swimming in an ocean of them. They'll ask, do you think I did okay? When they already know they crushed it. Or they'll say, I'm not sure if I look good in that outfit. Just to hear you say, you looked amazing. And Lord forbid you don't deliver that affirmation on time, they'll have you feeling like you just committed a crime against humanity. Every Every time that you learn to fast in patience, now I get it, we all love a little acknowledgement. Ain't nothing wrong with being told you did a good job or that you look nice today. That's human. But for these folks, it's more than that. It's like their entire self-worth is tied to whether or not people are clapping for them. And if the applause stops, they don't know what to do with themselves. Let me give you an example. You could throw a surprise party for them, cake, decorations, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's there to celebrate them. And for most people, that would be enough, right? Not for this crowd. They'll be sitting there thinking, why didn't anybody mention how much effort I put into choosing this outfit for my own party? It's like they've got this internal checklist of compliments they expect to receive, and if you miss one, you're in trouble. And let me tell you, being around someone like that can feel exhausting. Because no matter how much you pour into them, it's never enough. You could praise them from sunup to sundown, and they'd still find a way to say, you didn't mention my shoes, though. But here's the thing. People who crave praise like this aren't bad people. Most of the time, it's because they're carrying something deep inside that they haven't dealt with. Maybe they grew up feeling like they weren't good enough. Maybe they never heard the words, I'm proud of you, when they needed to hear the most. So now, as adults, they're looking for the world to fill that gap. And let me tell you, family, that's not your job. You can't heal somebody else's wounds with your words. Sure, you can uplift them, but you can't be the sole source of their validation. That's a weight too heavy for anybody to carry. They can't handle criticism. All right, family, let's talk about something real. There are people out there who just cannot, for the life of them, handle criticism. And I'm not talking about those mean-spirited, tear-you-down kind of critiques. No, I'm talking about honest, constructive feedback. The kind that's meant to help you grow, not hurt you. But to these folks, oh, it feels like a personal attack, and they'll treat it like you just insulted their mama. Okay? Oh, you ever been there? You're trying to give someone a little advice, maybe pointing out a small thing they could improve on, and bam! Suddenly you're in the middle of a full-blown meltdown. They're defensive, they're offended, and next thing you know, you're the bad guy for even opening your mouth. What happens? Now let's pause for a second, because we've all been on both sides of this. None of us like hearing that we've messed up. It stings a little, right? But most of us take a deep breath, think it over, and maybe, just maybe, we learn from it. But these folks, they'll twist it around so fast you'll wonder if you were wrong for even saying something in the first place. Here's the thing, though. It's not really about you. People who can't handle criticism are often dealing with something much deeper. Maybe they've been judged harshly their whole life. Maybe they've been made to feel like every mistake defines them. So when you point out even the smallest flaw, it triggers something in them, a fear of not being enough, a fear of being rejected. And instead of taking it in stride, they lash out. You ever had someone turn your feedback into a fight? You say, hey, I think this could have been done a little differently. And they come back with, oh, so now I'm just terrible at everything, huh? And you're standing there thinking, wait, what just happened? It's like they can't separate the critique from their sense of self-worth, and don't even try to explain yourself because they've already decided you're out to get them. You could have had the best intentions in the world, but in their mind, You're just another person piling on the negativity. And let me tell you, that's a hard wall to break through. But here's what I want you to remember. Their reaction is not your responsibility. You can't control how someone receives what you say. All you can do is make sure your intentions are pure and your delivery is kind. If they choose to take it the wrong way, that's on them, not you. They lack empathy. All right, y'all, let's dive into this. There's some folks out here who just don't know what it means to walk in somebody else's shoes. I'm talking about people who hear your pain, see your struggle, and still act like it's got nothing to do with them. You could be pouring your heart out, and they're sitting there with that blank look like, well, what's this got to do with me? Now, let me say this. Empathy is one of the most beautiful gifts we've got as human beings. It's what lets us connect, really connect with each other. It's what makes us stop and say, I may not have been where you've been, but I feel you. But when somebody lacks empathy, man, it's like there's a wall between you and them. You're talking, but nothing's getting through. You ever dealt with someone like that? You tell them about your bad day, and instead of offering a little comfort, they say something like, you think you had it rough. Let me tell you what happened to me. And just like that, the conversation's no longer about you. They've turned it into their own personal spotlight. Here's the thing. It's not always intentional. People who lack empathy often don't even realize what they're missing. It's like their focus is so locked onto their own world, they don't have the bandwidth to step outside of it. They hear your words, but they don't feel your feelings. And because they don't feel it, they don't respond the way you need them to. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're going through something heavy. Maybe you're grieving a loss or struggling with a decision. You open up to someone hoping for some understanding, and instead they say, you'll be fine, just get over it. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone hits me with that, I'm thinking, get over it? If it were that easy, don't you think I'd already be over it? But here's what I've come to understand, y'all. When someone lacks empathy, it's usually because they've never been taught how to give it. Maybe they grew up in a tough environment where nobody showed them compassion. Or maybe they've been so focused on their own survival that they haven't had the space to consider anyone else's feelings. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it sure helps you understand where it's coming from. Now, don't get me wrong, it's hard being around someone like that, because empathy isn't just about feeling sorry for somebody. It's about being present. It's about saying, I see you and I care about what you're going through. And when you don't get that from someone, it can feel lonely. It can make you wonder if you're even worth their time. They're masters of manipulation. All right, y'all, let's talk about the folks who play the game so well, you don't even realize you're in it. These are the masters of manipulation. The people who can twist a situation, bend the truth, and make you feel like you're the one in the wrong when it's really all them. You know what I'm talking about. These folks could sell water to a fish and have you thanking them for it. Now, don't get it twisted. Manipulation doesn't always look loud or obvious. No, these folks are smooth with it. They know exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to say it to get what they want. They might butter you up with sweet words, throw in a little guilt trip, and before you know it, you're doing things their way without even questioning why. You ever had someone ask for a favor, and before you could even say no, they hit you with something like, wow, I thought you'd be the one person I could count on. And just like that, you're hooked. They've got you feeling bad for even thinking about setting a boundary. And what's wild is that they make it look so innocent, you don't even realize they're pulling the strings. Let me tell you something. Manipulative people are some of the smartest folks out there. Oh, they know human behavior like the back of their hand. They know how to read a room, how to figure out your weaknesses, and how to use them to their advantage. It's like they've got a PhD in persuasion. And if you're not careful, they'll have you doing backflips for them while they sit back and reap all the benefits. But here's the thing, they're not doing it because they're evil or out to get you. Most of the time, manipulation comes from a place of insecurity. They don't feel like they can get what they want the honest way, so they rely on these little tricks and games to make it happen. It's not about you. It's about them trying to fill a hole in their own life. Now, the hardest part about dealing with someone like this is recognizing it, because let's be real, they're good at what they do. They'll make you second guess yourself, make you question your own feelings, and sometimes even have you apologizing for things you didn't do. It's like they've got this way of flipping the script, and you sitting there thinking, wait, how do we even get here? But here's what I want you to remember. Just because someone's good at manipulation doesn't mean you have to play along. You've got the power to step back, to see through the act, and to stand firm in your truth. They're always right. All right, let's break this one down, family. There's some folks out here who think they've got the answer to everything. No matter what the topic is, no matter who's talking, in their mind, they are the authority. It don't matter if you've got facts, research, or a whole PowerPoint presentation, they'll still look you dead in the eye and say, well, actually, you ever met someone like that? Oh, they'll argue with you over anything, how to load the dishwasher, the best way to drive to the store, even how you should live your life. And if you dare to challenge them, get ready. Because now it's a full-blown debate. They'll defend their opinion like it's the last slice of pie at Thanksgiving dinner. And let me tell you, it's not just about being right. For these folks, being right is like their identity. It's how they see themselves. If they're wrong, even just once, it feels like the whole world is going to fall apart. So instead of admitting it, they'll double down. They'll dig their heels in and argue their point until you either give up or walk away. You know, it's funny, though? Deep down, they know they're not always right.
Oh, they know.
But admitting that takes a level of humility they're not ready for. Because to them, being wrong feels like weakness. It feels like they're losing something. So they cling to their opinions like a security blanket, even when the truth is staring them in the face. Now, dealing with someone like this can be a trip, can't it? You'll be in a conversation thinking it's a two-way street, and then bam, it turns into a one-man lecture. You're not even talking anymore, you're just listening. And the wild part is, they'll act like they're doing you a favor, like they're blessing you with their infinite wisdom. Oh, but here's what I want you to understand, family. People who always have to be right are usually carrying something heavy. Maybe it's a fear of being judged. Maybe they've been told they're not good enough. and being right is their way of proving their worth. Whatever it is, their need to win every argument ain't really about you. It's about something inside them that hasn't healed yet. That doesn't mean it's easy to deal with, though. It takes patience, a lot of patience, to be around someone who won't budge even when their wrong is two left shoes. But it also takes something else, knowing when to stand your ground and when to let it go. Because let me tell you, family, sometimes peace is better than proving your point. He used people as tools. All right, let's get real about something that's hard to see but hits deep. There are folks out here who don't see people as people. They see people as tools. Yeah, I said it. To them, you're not a friend, a partner, or a colleague. You're just a means to an end. It's like they've got a checklist in their head, and if you can't help them cross something off, they're done with you. Now, let me break this down. You ever had someone come into your life all sweet and charming? They say all the right things, act like they're your biggest fan, and you're thinking, wow, this person really cares about me. But then the minute you can't do something for them, they disappear faster than a coupon after Black Friday. And here's the kicker, they don't even feel bad about it. Why? Because they never saw you as an equal in the first place. To them, relationships are transactional. They're not asking, how can I support you? They're asking, what can you do for me? And when you've outlived your usefulness, they move on to the next person. Family, that kind of behavior can leave a scar. It makes you question yourself. You start wondering, was I ever enough? Was it me? But let me tell you something. It ain't you. It's them. People who use others as tools are operating from a place of selfishness and insecurity. They're so focused on their own needs and goals that they forget the most important part of any relationship, the human connection. So think about how many times have you bent over backward for someone only to realize later that they never really cared about you. Maybe it was that coworker who only hit you up when they needed help with a project, or that so-called friend who only called when they needed a favor. And when you needed something, crickets. The truth is, people like this don't understand the give and take of a real relationship. They don't know what it means to be there for someone just because you care. And let me tell you, family, that's not on you to fix. You can't teach someone to value others if they don't even see the problem in how they're living. But here's the thing. Life has a way of teaching lessons whether you want to learn them or not. People who use others as tools might think they're winning, but let me tell you something. They're missing out on the real richness of life. Love, trust, and genuine connections. Because when you treat people like objects, you end up alone, holding on to nothing but your own pride. So for me, life has a way of teaching lessons by ending on a low. All eternity. But let me tell you something, they're missing out on the real richness of life. Love, trust, and genuine connections. It's because when you treat people like objects, you end up taking care of only what you and struggle to build real connections. All right, family, let's talk about something real. Some folks just can't seem to make genuine connections with others. Now, I'm not talking about casual friendships or surface-level conversations. I'm talking about those deep, meaningful bonds where you know somebody's got your back no matter what. For some people, that's like trying to build a house with no foundation. It just doesn't happen. You ever been around someone who seems to have it all together on the outside, but when it comes to relationships, they're like a ship lost at sea? They might smile, they might charm, but something's missing. It's like they're afraid to let anyone really see who they are. They'll keep you at arm's length. And no matter how hard you try to get closer, it feels like there's an invisible wall between you. And let me tell you, family, it's not always because they don't want connection. Oh, no, deep down, a lot of these folks crave it. They want to be seen, heard, and loved just like everybody else. But here's the problem. They don't know how to let their guard down. They're so used to wearing masks and putting up defenses that vulnerability feels like a foreign language. Think about it. Real connections require trust. They require you to show up as your authentic self, flaws and all. But if someone's been hurt before, if they've been let down or betrayed, they might think, why should I let anyone in when it only leads to pain? So they keep things superficial. They'll talk about the weather, their job, or last night's game. But when it comes to the stuff that really matters, silence. And here's where it gets tricky. People who struggle to build real connections often don't even realize they're the ones holding themselves back. They might blame others, saying things like, nobody understands me, or people just don't care like they used to. But the truth is, they're the ones closing the door before anyone even has a chance to knock. Family, let me tell you something. Connection is what we're made for. It's what gives life meaning. But you can't build that kind of bond if you're not willing to show up fully. It's like trying to bake a cake with no ingredients. You can't fake it and you can't rush it. And for the ones who struggle with this, it's not always their fault. Maybe they grew up in a home where love wasn't shown. Maybe they've been in relationships where vulnerability was punished instead of cherished. Whatever the reason, they've built walls to protect themselves. But here's the thing about walls. They keep the pain out, but they also keep the love out. They keep the pain out, but they also keep the love out. Family, you can't always change the people around you, but you can control how much access they have to your heart, your time, and your energy. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Guard your peace. Know your worth. And don't let anyone, no matter how charming or smooth they seem, take that away from you. So next time you encounter someone who checks all these boxes, don't get mad. Don't try to change them. Just recognize it for what it is, step back, and keep moving forward. Life's too beautiful to let someone else's issues hold you back. Thank you all for listening. Stay strong, stay kind, and stay true to you.